I think we can go ahead and start recording, which it sounds like that's going now, which is great. Welcome to the February 21st, 2024 Plan TAC meeting. We're so happy to have you all here. I'm going to read through our roll call. So when I get to your community, if you would unmute and signify that you're here. If there are multiple members from your organization, each member can, signify their presence, or it seems like some groups will kind of say, have a spokesperson for everyone there. I think either way is totally fine. So I'll try to leave a good pause in between each community to give everyone time. Let's start with Alta. Bluffdale.
Grant Kroll here.
Hey, welcome, Grant. How about Brighton? Copperton. From Cottonwood Heights, I'm here, Samantha DeSealhorst, and then maybe I'll introduce the rest of our team as well. We have Ian Harris, one of our planners, and then Mike Johnson, our Community and Economic Development Director. And I don't think there's anyone else from our team here. Hopefully that's right. Okay, how about Draper?
Bob Taylor.
Great, thanks, welcome. Emigration Canyon Township.
Hi, this is Kayla. Sorry, I couldn't unmute earlier, but I also represent Brighton and Copperton.
Hey, Kayla, thanks so much for being here. I will probably call on the other MSD communities again, so you can raise your hand if you want or unmute. I know you have to pull kind of double duty on these, so.
Okay, thanks.
How about Harriman?
Michael Lloyd, Harriman City, and I believe Clint Spencer, our planning manager, will be jumping on.
Great, good morning, thank you. Holiday. Hey.
This is Jared with Holiday.
Oh, great. Hey, Jared, good morning. Kearns, we've got Kayla as well. And then Magna. Also Kayla. And then Midvale.
Adam Olson with Midvale.
Morning, Adam. How about Mill Creek? Murray.
Zach Smallwood with Murray.
Hey, Zach. Good morning. How about Riverton?
Matt Castle with Riverton.
Good morning, Matt. Thanks for being here. All right, Salt Lake City.
This is something else that's kind of interesting. Oh, Samantha, she used to be my nanny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Small world.
I know.
It sounds like somebody may be unmuted. Just if you'll flip your sound onto mute real quick, that'd be great. Okay, let's see. Where did I leave off? I think we did Riverton, Salt Lake City, and then how about Salt Lake County?
David Rogers with Salt Lake County.
Hey, David. Good morning. And maybe this is a good point for me to mention too, as we're about halfway through the list. If you are coming in now to the meeting, and I've already gotten past your alphabetical community, if you will add your name and your organization or community in the chat. Thank you, Ellen, from Bluffdale, for doing that. Okay, how about Sandy?
This is Brittany Ward with Sandy City.
Good morning, Brittany. South Jordan. South Salt Lake. Taylorsville. West Jordan.
Larry Gardner, West Jordan.
Hey, Larry. West Valley City.
Karen Lang.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
White City. Kayla. Okay, and then a couple of different entities. How about UDOT? UTA.
Matt Gray with Strategic Planning at UTA.
And Olivia Bonte with UTA.
And Preston Larson with UTA Service Planning, Customer
Great.
Experience.
Great UTA showing this morning. Good morning. Thanks for being here, everybody. Federal highways. Okay, and then for WFRC, Jory, I think you usually call out the members from your team if you want to do that.
Perfect. We have myself, Jory Johnner, Julie Bjornstad, Hugh Van Wagenen, Lauren Victor, Seamus Wada, Jordan Chandler, Rosie Hernandez, Ted Knowlton, Bert Granberg, Madison Aviez, Megan Townsend, Christy Dahlberg, Byron Head, and Nate Curry.
Awesome. Welcome,
Madison,
everybody.
I might have butchered her last name. I apologize.
Thanks to the WFRC team for everything you do to make these calls possible. We're so glad you're here. And then a couple other groups. Do we have anybody from Jordan School District this morning? How about Envision Utah? Avenue Consultants? WCG? Bike Utah, I know we have Chris here. I saw Chris's name in the chat. Do we have anybody else from Bike Utah today? Okay, and then SOMIS.
Andrea.
Great. And then who did I miss? I know we may have some other attendees signing on. We do have some of our presenters here today, and we'll wait to introduce them till it's their place on the agenda. But is there anybody else here today who I missed?
That's Steve Kellenberg from The Point.
Hey, welcome, Steve. Thanks for being here. Okay, great. Well, chat is open, so if we did miss you, please add your name and organization into the chat. And Jordan has relinked the agenda for anyone who wants to open that up and take a look. Moving on to our consent agenda portion of the meeting, I will look for approval of the December 6th, 2023 meeting minutes. These were linked in the agenda that was sent out, so hopefully folks have had a chance to look at them. Do we have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Motion from Mike Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second, from Shane Ellis.
Second from Shane. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. With sort of the housekeeping items taken care of on the agenda, let's head into the fun stuff. We have our local community highlight, which these are kind of recurring opportunities to learn about some of the work being done in communities across our region. And today we have Kayla Malden with the Greater Salt Lake Municipal Services District sharing a community highlight of Kearns. So Kayla, I'll turn it over to you.
Sorry, it's having issues with my Zoom there. Here we go. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and just talk about Kearns. It's great timing with the Olympics coming in 2034. We're really excited to show everything that we've been working on. I don't know how familiar everyone is with the Metro Township kind of format. So Kearns is currently considered a Metro Township. We are a municipality, so we are incorporated. We're just somewhat limited in our taxation powers. That's really the only difference between the Metro Townships and a full-blown city. However, there's legislation in session right now that would allow Kearns to incorporate as a city. So our population is over 36,000. We're approaching 40,000. And almost half of our population identifies as Hispanic or Latino. It's a very diverse population. We also have a large proportion of Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander community members. This is a map of Kearns for anyone who's not super familiar with the area. We do have the Utah Olympic Oval, which is why we're very excited for the coming Olympics again. And the Olympic Oval still holds the US speed skating team. So we host huge events there every year. We just had the World Cup. And then we're close to USANA Amphitheater, which is now the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. We have Lodestone Park and a lot of great amenities here in our community. So a few of the things that we've been working on, let me go ahead and share this more completely. If I can get to my buttons here. That was, Can you guys see the presentation side, or are you seeing notes?
We were seeing kind of like the back end side, but we could still see your slides. So
all right.
I think
Let
if
me
you
figure out,
it would still work if you were doing it the way it was before, but this happens to me every time I share a PowerPoint on Zoom, so I'm so glad that I'm not the only one. You're doing great.
Yeah, that's a pain. Okay, whatever. So I didn't get time to put in all the fun details for this, but one thing that we're really excited about in Kearns, this past year, we finished a huge update to our zoning and subdivision codes. And we actually got to see our first application of that. West Jordan has been developing along the intersection of 5600 West and 5400 South. They just put in a lot of new commercial development, and all of this land, this is basically the last remaining vacant spot in Kearns. And so we applied one of our new mixed use zoning districts, the corridor mixed use, which is going to allow up to 60 feet in building height and 30 dwelling units per acre, which will be one of the densest zones in Kearns at the moment. Again, not as much as the areas of Salt Lake City, but for suburban Utah, we were pretty excited to get that zoning applied. This is also a great opportunity because UTA and WFRC have been working on getting dedicated bus lanes along 5600 West. So that's a project that we're expecting to come online here in the next 5 years or so. And so this will be a great opportunity to see a lot of redevelopment in our community.
And Kayla, it does look like the slides are no longer shown. I don't know if you still wanted to share your screen, but
Yep.
It looks like that turned off.
Sure did. Okay. Give me a sec. Zoom is not my friend today. Sorry, guys.
You're totally fine. This is just the reality of technology.
The way that it is.
We're back up and it looks perfect. It's in the presenter view now.
Oh, it's in presenter view for you? Okay.
It's in the presentation view, I should say. Like, we're seeing it, I think, exactly as you intend.
Okay. Well, we're gonna leave it this way for now. Another area that we've been focusing on in Kearns is what we call our warehouse district. So this is in our northwest quadrant, and it's kind of been the hub of employment. But a lot of these warehouse buildings were sitting vacant for the last 10 years or so. We've seen just a lot of turnover and not a lot of business success. We have been working really hard to rededicate some of the land here, fix some issues that we had with jurisdiction over our roadways. And as a result, we're seeing more businesses show interest in this area. We've also been marketing it a little bit more. And so we are super excited to learn that Equipment Share just recently purchased land in our warehouse district. And they're looking to bring 20 full-time benefited jobs that are paying above the median income. So for Kearns, this was a huge win. Again, this is a community that's primarily built out within Utah. And so we don't see a lot of opportunities like this. And so to see this kind of redevelopment coming in has been huge for our community. So now to talk about some of the fun projects that we're working on. We're really building a grassroots culture of planning in Kearns, which has been really exciting for me to work on. So everything that we do starts with the community and is built from the ground up. So community engagement is really the beginning of our process. We go to the community first, and they help us develop even the scope of work, decide what the priorities should be for the community, and we go from there. So one thing that we're working on is a revisioning of our town center area. So in 2019, we had completed a town center master plan for Kearns. At that time, our commercial centers were really failing along 5400 South. However, in the last 5 years or so, we've seen a resurgence in that area, and we now have 60 active businesses, all in this small area. And so we are looking at ways that we can keep these businesses thriving, and not displace them, while still building up and filling development and creating some placemaking to get that town center feel that we had originally been going for. So our current vision statement is to leverage existing assets and opportunities in order to build an economically and culturally vibrant Kearns Town Center, which embraces Kearns diversity, engages residents of all ages, and supports a multitude of business and activities. In May of this past year, we held our first business block party, where we actually went out to this. Can you guys see my mouse cursor? Probably, maybe not.
It looks like the slide's on the warehouse district one right now. So I'm not sure if there's a different one that shows more of the town center area, but either way.
Yes. Let's see.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we had our business block party, which took place in one of our commercial strip malls. We utilized the parking lot, invited our businesses to come out and set up booths. And we used that opportunity to survey both residents and business owners. We got over 160 responses that day, which was really exciting for this community. We don't always get a high participation rate when we're doing surveys and things like that. We sent our participants out on a scavenger hunt so that they could explore the local businesses, because one of the things that we found is that people didn't realize the businesses that they had already right there in Kearns. And some of that is a language gap, because we have a high percentage of Pacific Islander and Latino businesses. Not all of Kearns residents felt like they could access those businesses. They maybe didn't know what the signage said. They didn't know what products were being offered. And so by having this event on the site and sending them into these businesses to really see what it was about, we were able to kind of increase that pride and recognition of what they already had. And then we're doing the work now to build off of that, rather than starting from scratch, trying to acquire this land, demolish all of that stuff. We are working directly with the business owners and property owners to see what we can do to improve this area from the ground up. This project, the Kearns Mobility Hub, has been in the works for a couple of years now. It's a partnership with Move Utah, Salt Lake County Libraries, and UTA. And we are kind of at the tipping point right now. We're expecting to install in June of this year. So this is going to go at the intersection of 5400 South and our Kearns Library Plaza. The Kearns Library, if you guys haven't been out there, it's really, really an amazing facility. It just reopened in 2020 and serves almost as a Kearns community center. So it has a maker studio, it has small business spaces, we have a telehealth station. It really is the hub for the community. And so this was the perfect place to test out this idea of a mobility hub. And when constructed, this will be the first mobility hub in suburban Utah. So we're bringing together all of our modal choices. We're able to work with UTA to relocate our 5400 South bus stop to this location. So it connects our bus service. We're going to have bike parking, scooter parking as well, because we have Bird and Lime out in Kearns. And then also there's the drop-off areas here at the mobility hub. So all of our modal choices combine in this area. And again, we took a really grassroots approach with this. So one of the first groups that we engaged was our Kearns Youth Center through the high school. And we talked to the youth about what they needed from a space like this. They engage in a lot of after-school programs at the Kearns Library, so we knew that they would be one of our primary users. We also wanted their inspiration for looking at some of the design and branding of this space, recognizing that, you know, this is the first demonstration hub site, but we're hoping to bring this concept to multiple locations throughout Kearns and really set up a network of mobility hubs. So we went to their youth council meetings and engaged them in a series of activities to design logos, choose colors and fonts, and came out with some really great icons and kind of branding ideas. We've now taken that to a local artist who is helping us turn it into an official brand for this site. So we're super excited to share that moving forward, and of course invite you guys out to the event that'll take place in June, where we'll really welcome the community to this space and invite them to help us paint the sidewalk murals that'll set this space apart. And in 2022, Kearns was selected as one of the only Utah community to participate in the U.S. Department of Transportation's Thriving Communities cohort. And this program is offering Kearns technical assistance through 2025. We've been assigned 2 national consulting firms that are working with us on transformative transportation projects. So this has been a really great opportunity for us. We're particularly looking at 5400 South. We have quite a few issues along there and needs for traffic calming, active transportation improvements, and also stormwater improvements. So we've been able to look at that holistically. We're working, we'll be setting up conversations with UDOT, UTA, and our current stakeholders as well to identify kind of a comprehensive plan for that space. We're also looking at pedestrian crossings of the Union Pacific Railroad, which has been a huge barrier in Kearns, dividing the community basically in half from east to west. And so those pedestrian crossings will also play an important role in the Olympics and being able to facilitate traffic. And then finally, we've been working with this program on workforce development, which has been a really exciting part. So we'll be engaging with a group of youth and inviting them to several kind of federal opportunities to get engaged with employment sectors and critical infrastructure. So we're excited to see how that plays out, how it exposes our youth to different job opportunities and what that means for the Kearns community. Currently, our employment is the majority of Kearns workers are in the retail sectors. And so we're looking to really expand our workforce training and development programs to be able to get residents access to more economic opportunities. Camp Kearns Historic Walk, again, this was just a great opportunity to respond directly to the needs of our community. So Kearns only incorporated in 2017, but they have a long-standing history in the Valley. Camp Kearns was here during World War II and is really what started development in the Kearns area. But one thing that we've heard from residents over and over when we've engaged them in planning processes is that even though they know this history exists, they're kind of frustrated because there's no recognition of it within the community. We have no historic markers, we have no remnants of historic buildings. And so this is our first opportunity to really give back to the community. And we're choosing to do that through a series of 10 historic panels that we'll be placing at their Veterans Memorial Park, which is right here next to the Olympic Oval and the high school, so a high visibility area. We received $21,500 in grant funding from Salt Lake County Tourism, Recreation, Culture, and Convention Support Program, which is making this possible. And we're using it to highlight that history of Camp Kearns, and then also some of our Native history and history since the year 2000. So we're really excited about this to give them that glimpse and try to build up some of the pride in this community. We are also including an online engagement section with it so that residents can connect with one another, share their stories of history, and also view these panels in multiple languages. So those are just a few of the things that we're up to. I'm happy to talk about any of it more, answer any questions. I think it's kind of a different working in this community, again, because we're built out, there's not necessarily an appetite for a lot of high density or large buildings or redevelopment projects. The community is looking to build off of what they have and really retain kind of that unique culture and identity. And so it's been fun to work with them to see how that works, how we can boost our tax base and our economic opportunities while preserving the businesses we have and reducing displacement, how we can increase density in our residential neighborhoods without bulldozing and redoing our single family neighborhoods. So there's been a lot of unique challenges, but we're really excited about what we've been able to accomplish in the last few years.
Thanks so much, Kayla. You are doing so much. Like, surely there's not another cool there is another cool project. I feel like you have so much going on out there that makes me excited from like a professional standpoint about things I could do in Cottonwood Heights, and also makes me want to go visit Kearns. So
thanks, Amanda. That's what we want. Everyone should come out to Kearns.
Yeah, I might be heading out your way. I
All right.
had a couple of questions, but first I kind of want to open it up. Does anyone have a question for Kayla about some of these projects she's shared?
I don't have a question. I just want to congratulate Kayla Kayla, just that I grew up on the west side. I grew up in Magna and Kearns area. And my parents still live over there, and they see a huge improvement in the quality. So yeah, I just love what you guys are doing. So keep it up.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thanks
the
for sharing
residents
that.
mean a lot to us. We love working with these communities.
I was wondering, Kayla, thinking about the Olympics, I hadn't really made that link yet about that kind of impending event. And do you feel like, I mean, it sounds like from a staff perspective, there's excitement about the Olympics. What's the sentiment more in the community? Are people excited about that coming back, or is there sort of reluctance around like what comes with it? You know, more people. I've heard both things, so I'm interested what the temperature is there.
Yeah, I think in Kearns, people are mostly excited because of the investment that it brings into the community. So we're expecting some funding that can help us really do some of these transformative projects. Like I mentioned, the transportation improvements that we were already working on, but the fact that the Olympics are coming puts a new priority and focus on it, not just from the local level, but also from the state level. And so that type of thing is really helpful to us. People do have concerns about traffic. But I think also there's some economic opportunity here because there are people, right, that are not going to want to stick around during that time. They might want to abandon ship and, rent out their home as a short-term rental during that time. And so those are opportunities that we're looking at as well that could potentially benefit our residents. But really any investment that's coming our way, we're doing our best to see how that can lead to long-term solutions for our community. With the mobility hub, I didn't mention that we're also looking at a community shuttle that would connect those hubs. We get a lot of great service from UTA, but it's bus routes that run to regional destinations, and we don't have a good route that connects all the destinations within Kearns. So we've been in talks with UTA about a possible shuttle program. They've talked to us about access to a vehicle, and we're looking for funding for operations. That's something that the Olympic Committee has expressed some interest in helping with, at least for a pilot program. And again, that's a way that we can move people during the Olympics. That could be a lasting thing for residents themselves.
Yeah, it sounds like it has the potential to be a great catalyst to kind of advance some of the work you're already doing. And I also imagine that with the really creative approaches you've taken to community engagement, any difficult conversations around like the impacts of having the Olympics back in your area will be, you can work through that with the relationships that you have in the community. So I'm sure that will be rewarding.
Yeah, we're excited, and we just want to bring the community members along, right? We want to make sure that nothing that we do is displacing the residents and the businesses that we already have there. So what can we do to let the tourists coming in really benefit the businesses that we have? And some of that is improving placemaking in our town center. It's making sure that visitors know that it's there and can access it through transportation modes. And that, our business owners know how to market their products and create signage that is visually appealing and readable and understandable to people coming through. So we're really taking that approach, which I would say sometimes it can be harder and it takes a lot longer to see that progress. But we're getting there, and it's been really exciting to kind of watch it unfold over these last 5 years.
Yeah, I bet. Any other questions or comments for Kayla before we move on? Great. Well, Kayla, thank you so much for sharing that update with us. I imagine we'll have you back for another update on one of the other communities you work with. We'll look forward to hearing more about the work that you do. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, guys.
Great. And before we move on to the next item, I'll just mention again for anyone who's popping in now to the meeting, welcome. We're so glad you're here. If you'll add your name and organization to the chat, we would love to mark you down for the minutes. Okay, with that, let's move on to item 3. This is a discussion about broadband funding process. We have Rebecca here with the Utah Broadband Center, and Rebecca, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Samantha, very much. And Kayla, that is so impressive. I can't believe that the way you said it's just a little bit that's going on, and incredible. Can I add one more thing to your plate? everyone's plate. Something to think about. So I've got some slides here, and I'm hoping that you have heard about the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Funding Program. I am Rebecca Dilge. I'm the director of the Utah Broadband Center out of the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, and it's each state that is being tasked with administering these federal funds that are coming. And the state of Utah has been allocated just over $317 million to make sure that everyone in the state of Utah has access to high-speed internet. And it is certainly a once in a generational opportunity, as it's being coined. And it really is. We're not going to see funding like this again. We've got internet service providers who are very anxious about this. In good and bad, they're looking at opportunities to reach those locations that are left in Utah that have not been served. And you may think, well, here we're on the Wasatch Front, we've got very good service providers, we've got good internet, and I'm hoping you do. And I'm hoping that that's the case. But what we have found is that oftentimes, and we hear from some of your community members, that there are like donut holes in your communities where maybe one provider came in this way and another one came in this way, and then there are these little islands that were left, and maybe a neighborhood here and there. This funding is going to be able to take care and can go towards these locations. We have actually been working on, next slide. We've been working on a 5-year plan. And we completed that last summer and submitted this to our federal overseer, which is the National Telecommunications Information Administration. And in this 5-year digital connectivity plan, there are different things that we're have been looking at in the communities and as far as availability. And we know right now that we have approximately 43,500 unserved locations across the state, and an additional about 30,000 underserved. So when we're talking about unserved and underserved, we're talking about speeds, latency, you know, the reliability, how slow. The FCC defines broadband if you're getting 25 megabits per second download and 3 upload. I live in Willard, and in my location, I have a DSL, or it's the old phone line, and I get on a good day 11 down and 1 up. And so when I'm video streaming, that upload is maybe not as consistent or as good quality. And if there's any other devices going on in my house, I get a message saying, you know, it's not stable. So if you have experienced that at all, or if you know community members that have experienced that, then they are probably on a system that is not considered broadband. And underserved is all the way to 100 down and 20 up. So at this time, we're not only looking for today, but we're looking to the future. So you may say, well, I don't need that much. I don't have that many devices. Well, your neighbors probably do. And all the neighbors one day into the not too distant future are going to have multiple devices. And the need will just grow. So what we're doing today is making an investment for the future. The next thing in our plan, in addition to availability, is the accessibility. So can people access it? Do they have the devices to do so? The computers, the phones, the laptops, do they know how to use them? Do they know how to use them safely? Are they able to also afford? So that's our third component, is the affordability. Is this a monthly fee of something that people can access it? Or is there community services where they can access this also? So I know this is something that your communities have talked about when you're looking at digital equity or digital access. These are all in this component of this 5-year plan. And I know we had some of the communities that helped to participate in developing their own plans, and we have those. And we encourage each of the communities to create their own digital connectivity plans. So in this process of getting this funding to the state of Utah, we have to submit this plan, and we also have to submit some proposals that say, we know where these locations are that are not served. We know where the locations are that are underserved. And we're looking at the FCC map, okay? And the FCC map is sometimes showing locations as served, and they're really not. The FCC map is submitted, is a report basically by internet service providers. And sometimes they're over reporting where they're actually serving. And sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes they're under reporting. So in our process to get this funding, we are tasked with putting forth a state challenge process. So next slide. In this state challenge process, we are looking to you for some help. In this challenge process, we're determining any misidentified, unserved, and underserved locations that will be eligible for BEAD funded projects. So if they're showing on the map as served, but they're not, once we have our maps approved by NTIA, we cannot use the funding to go towards those locations. Like, we have to show it now on the map that we will be submitting to them that these really are unserved or underserved locations. So this is our last chance. Next. In the state challenge process, we have developed a challenge portal. It includes a map with broadband serviceable locations and the service availability, showing either served, underserved, or unserved. Challengers will be able to access the portal and review the map. There is a fabric license that we're encouraging that you can get through the FCC. The reason we're encouraging this is because if you have any bulk challenges that you would like to make, it will make it easier to download the data and upload it. And if you have any GIS experts, they'll know that this is a useful way of evaluating all of the data. And also, they're a great resource for this. You don't have to have the FCC fabric license. We're encouraging it if you have a desire to be able to access the data fully. And we've got some slides that they're going to be sharing out the process to get this license. It takes a couple of weeks to get it. It's being offered for free to communities at this time, to nonprofits and internet service providers. Otherwise, it would cost, and it's protected. So there's some requirements in confidentiality. So this is something so we can fully share the fabric map, as it's called, with all of you. But don't feel like it's a have to, but we are encouraging you to do this. Then challenges will be submitted. Any challenges that are entered will go to the relevant ISP, the internet service provider, for review, and then they can rebut that challenge. And if the ISP rebuts a challenge, and the challenge and rebuttal then pass to the state, to us, and we will adjudicate to determine if it really is served or unserved. And then we also have a portal where individuals can do speed tests. Now, individuals cannot make challenges. There's certain eligible entities, and individuals are not that. So it's specific to the communities. To do a speed test, to be a valid speed test challenge, there has to be 3 speed tests on 3 different days, a minimum of that. And if you have even a single household, or you have neighborhood that you know that is not served but is showing served, we encourage you to reach out and get these speed tests done. That reminds me, we do have a nonprofit that is offering a grant of up to $2,500. They've got about 13 they're going to give. This is Transcend. They are supporting this effort, and they want to help any communities that would like to go out and help neighborhoods to do these speed tests. Next. And I hope you notice that every one of those bullet points was a number 1. I keep forgetting I need to change that, but every one of them is very important. You may have missed that. So in this challenge, again, this is the FCC map, and we can see through these colors that this is a zoomed out version. Our map is going to be a little bit more clear. You'll be able to see all of those dots that will show unserved and underserved locations, but this is what is challenged. Next. Also, that's going to be challenged are community anchor institutions. So We have a list of community anchor institutions such as libraries, hospitals, schools, and we've added a few others to that list. Our Utah Education Telehealth Network has done an amazing job in the state of Utah. They're certainly leading the way across the country of getting our schools and hospitals and libraries all connected. So our list is relatively small, probably compared to other states, and yet it's large because we expanded it. We included primarily the rural areas. If there's like post offices, there's faith-based organizations where these are better seen if there's not these services in the rural communities. So community anchor institutions need to be be able to have access to at least 1,000 megabits per second or 1 gig. So it's not just that they have access to internet, to broadband, but they have access to at least 1 gig. Next. And then in the state challenge process, these are the eligible challengers, our internet service providers, local and tribal governments, nonprofit organizations, and we added actually educational organizations. So the eligible challenges, as I mentioned, are community anchor institutions, whether they're served or unserved broadband, and the serviceable locations, it's not just the speeds, but it's availability, the latency, if there's any data caps, a technology type, if it's unlicensed wireless rather than a licensed wireless or fiber optics, and service type, whether it's residential or business. And we're also looking for locations where there has been funding that's been awarded, but it's not yet been built, or any planned builds. Any of those would come off of our map, knowing that they are going to be accomplished within a certain date. And then the next slide gives you an idea of our timeline. Now I don't have a date for you. Our projected date has already passed because we actually have to have this proposal approved by NTIA. We've gone back and forth a few times, and we now are in the final stages of getting it approved. We're hoping maybe next week or the week after that this portal will be open for the challenge. It is actually open right now for registration. So I would encourage you to go, and I've got that on the next slide. We'll show you where you can go. And then the first 10 days is just going to be an opportunity just to view the map, to have full access to it. And then the next 40 days, that is the challenge process. That's it. And the other 40 days you don't need to worry about, because that's when the internet service providers get to rebut. And then the last 30 days is our opportunity to adjudicate. So the next slide, here are just some links. They're going to be sharing these with you so that you can get to them directly. But at connectingutah.com, that's our website. And right at the top, there's a banner that says, if you'd like to register, you can go in right now. We're allowing 2 per entity to register. If you need to have any more, just reach out to us and let us know. But right now, that's what we're doing. And then we also have our initial proposal that tells you how this process is going to work. It's a draft right now, and it's been changed even from the draft that's published. We need to get one updated on there. Getting an FCC MAP fabric license. So that's a link to the slides. And I know they're also going to share them out if there is some interest in getting that. And then a summary of the challenge process, and then our connectingutah.com state challenge process. We had some webinars. They're on that website. There's a QR code that will take you right to the website. And we are very hopeful that you will participate. If you have any questions, reach out to us. And then the next step after this challenge process, we will be submitting, we will publish the map, the results of that, and then the grant will probably be opening towards the end of this coming summer. Internet service providers, eligible entities are actually local communities. If they're working with internet service providers, we'll be able to apply for these funds. And then we actually have to award after our initial proposals approved, we've got 365 days. So this is going to be a very fast process. And when it's done, it's done. And we want to make sure we do it right and get that money where it needs to go. That's it. So
thank you so much for being here, Rebecca. I'm going to put the contact information and the website here in the chat so that people can reach out to you with any questions. And it sounds like you have some great webinar opportunities coming up for anyone who wants to learn more. So hopefully some
We've
communities.
had the webinars, they're recorded, they're on there.
Great.
But we
Okay.
do have an alliance, Utah Broadband Alliance. We actually have a meeting today starting at 10:30. You're welcome to join us virtually to that. And I will put the link, the virtual link in the chat. But also, if you'd like to get on our email list to be stay updated on any of this information, reach out to me and we'll get you at it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. We are going to flip-flop a few of the items next on our agenda. So instead of hitting the legislative update, we're going to go straight to item 5. So I'll turn it over to you, Jory, to start with the Regional Transportation Plan Amendment discussion.
Perfect. Can you all see the slides?
We're seeing it.
Perfect. All right. Grab your chairs, hold on, get a drink. We've got a big amendment coming up. So thank you. I'm going to present today on amendment number 1 to the 2023 RTP. I'm going to briefly review the amendment process, provide a high-level overview of the projects, and then ask for your recommendation at the end to take these to the Regional Growth Committee in March. Oh, there we go. Okay, delayed. As a reminder, the RTP is developed on a 4-year cycle. It was last adopted in May of 2023. We have a financial plan, and the plan is fiscally constrained. We conform to applicable controls, goals, and budgets for on-road mobile sources. And we tie to your future land use plans and the Wasatch Choice vision. The RTP is divided into phases, each about a decade long, for both identifying when projects are needed and when funding is expected to be available between now and 2050. And the RTP is the starting place for projects to move forward in prioritization of federal, state, and local funds. Periodically, adjustments are needed during the planning cycle due to things like changing of funding availability, local and state needs, or changes to land use. The amendment process maintains the rigor of the planning process, including review of financial constraints, public input, and air quality conformity. And you can see all that here in our process on the right side. As you can see here, we have 3 different amendment levels. Level 1 is a staff modification, and that includes ownership changes, operational changes to roadways, modifications to needs-based phasing, all active transportation changes, and changes to the Wasatch Choice vision centers. For level 2 amendments, those are board modifications, and they include collector, minor arterial roadway changes, non-fixed guideway transit changes, and changes to corridor preservation projects. And then finally, level 3, which are full amendments, are principal arterials, freeways, and fixed guideway transit projects. So within this amendment, we have all 3 amendment types. Amendment 1, we have 36 projects, 12 level 1 requests from UDOT, local communities, and UTA, making up 9 active transportation requests and 3 transit. So I'll briefly cover all these in a few slides, and then we can discuss as we go along. There are 12 level 2 requests from local communities, UTA, UDOT, making up 9 roadway and 3 transit projects. And then there are 12 level 3 requests from Farmington City, UDOT, and UTA, making up 3 transit and 9 roadway projects. So let's jump into this. As you can see here, they're spread across the region. I plan to just briefly cover these and then open up for any questions or comments about these level 1 projects. If there are none, or if we do have some, we'll chat and then move on to the level 2. So that's kind of the game plan here, to kind of stay organized and not have you try to remember any questions from 36 projects before. So first project here, Weaver Canyon Active Transportation Project. WFRC and UDOT had overlapping projects in our RTP and UDOT's long-range transportation plan. We're going to remove this project from our RTP to clean up the statewide unified plan. And but the project is staying in UDOT's plan. And actually, this is a project Weber Canyon Active Transportation project down Weber Canyon. So they'll have the project all the way from Morgan down to the mouth of Weber Canyon at South Weber. This is Porter Lane Bike Lane. This modifies the eastern extent of Porter Lane Bike Lane, which extended to I-15 where there was a planned crossing. This project has been updated from the I-15 EIS. And so now we're just moving the extent over. So you can see there that the old alignment is that gray piece there. And the new terminal will be at 1250 West. Bonneville Shoreline on the west side of Salt Lake County. A lot of people may not know that the Bonneville Shoreline isn't just along the eastern Wasatch front, but also on the west side over there on the Oakers. Salt Lake County recently completed a feasibility study. This reflects the new alignment of that study, and you can see the difference between the modified and the old project and the old alignment. You may question or look and wonder why there are some gaps there on that blue line. Those are where there are existing portions of the Bonneville Shoreline already built. So the county has been working in that southwest corner to start implementing some of this Bonneville Shoreline project. Note that the Bonneville Shoreline Trail is the only soft service trail in the RTP, but we put it in there because of its regional reach. It spans our entire jurisdiction. This project, Perry Farm Overhead Pedestrian and Bike Crossing. This is a change from a phase 1 project or phase 2 project to a phase 1 project due to Bluffdale being awarded a federal Railroad Administration grant. And so that grant was for railroad crossing eliminations. And so to receive the actual funding for this project, we need to have the project in phase 1 of the regional transportation plan. So it's just a modification to the phase. But once, so once they get that, we move this up, they'll be able to receive that funding to implement this project. There are a handful of projects associated with the I-15 EIS from Farmington to Salt Lake City. Most notably, there are bike pedestrian crossings over I-15 that do not require pass-through interchanges, and this will increase, comfortability and safety.
Hi, Scott. It's Debbie. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Hold on. Sorry about that. I'm sure Scott wasn't addressing this project, hopefully. You can see here, so there are 7 modified projects and 4 new projects associated with the I-15 EIS. Just as a reminder, the environmental study, when they looked at this project from Farmington to Salt Lake, they spent about a year looking at connecting communities, doing walk audits across the I-15, and almost every crossing has both ped and bike improvements, along with some new crossings that were not in our plan. Kearns active, the next couple are active transportation plan updates. And so Kearns has completed their active transportation plan. There are 4 new projects associated or that came out of that we wanted to add into the RTP. It wasn't a swap out of projects, but just an addition to what was already in Kearns from that. And so you can see those 4 here. When we send out the presentation at the end, there'll be a availability to click on the tab there. You can see where it says spreadsheet. You can actually look at more detail of what each of those projects are. Layton, same active transportation plan. There are a total of 36 modifications or new projects within Layton's plan. So this one was a little bit more robust in some of the changes. So we've modified or added in new projects based on their master plan. And we really strive to make sure the regional transportation plan and the local active transportation plans match each other. Taylorsville did an active communities plan. There are 17 new projects within Taylorsville, 10 new, 5 modified, and then 2 removals of projects. Again, you can click on that spreadsheet when we share this out and get more detail if you're interested in that. But again, this is to kind of line up the local plans with our regional transportation plan. One other note, the local plans, our regional transportation plan do not include all the projects within a local active transportation plan, but just the ones that kind of reach the regional level and connect to adjacent communities, things like that. White City did a walk White City plan. There are 3 modifications to the regional transportation plan. You can see here with more information. There's 2 shared use paths and 1 crossing on 106 South within White City. The next 3 projects I want to talk to you about are needs-based phasing changes. So this is the 400 West American Spur Tracks extension. The request from UTA is to move the project from needed in phase 2 to needed in phase 1. So we're not changing the financial constraints. We're not changing the financially constrained phase. This would just be a needs-based phase changing for this project in Salt Lake City. The Tracks orange line from the U of U to downtown also request to move the needs-based phasing from phase 2 to phase 1. And then finally, the orange line from downtown Salt Lake to the airport, heading out west, phase 2 to phase 1. By moving these phase 2 to phase 1 project, it allows for the city and UTA to pursue transportation investment funds and some other funds that are associated with needs-based phasing, not just financial constraint. If they do receive funds for the projects, we'll be bringing these projects back for amendment to move them from their financially constrained phase into phase 1. So that's all of level 1 projects. Are there any questions or discussion on those projects? All righty, on to phase 2 or level 2. Again, you can see they're fairly regional here. Gonna hit these about as quick as I did the last ones. 126 South. This project just aligns with the environmental study that was just complete. The environmental study, as you can see on this slide, on the most eastern end, recommended 5 lanes to where the new alignment of State Route 111 will tie in. And so we just need to update our project so that it's aligning with that 5 lanes there, but the western side doesn't change. It stays as 3 lanes. Freedom Point Way, it's a project in Bluffdale, connecting Porter Rockwell to Pony Express Road. The city is interested in pursuing the county corridor preservation funds, and it needs to be in the regional transportation plan to do that. So we're looking to add this project into the regional transportation plan for the Loud Bluffdale. Granville Avenue, it's a new project extending Granville Avenue between 102nd South to Old Bingham Highway. This would be, provides better access and improvement connectivity for the project and connects kind of to the track station up there. The next handful of them are recommendations that came from the Front Runner Forward study. So there's 6 projects. These are all grade separated crossings over Front Runner and the Union Pacific Railroad line. We've reached out and coordinated with all the cities. So this is kind of a joint UTA and with coordination with the communities. But let me run through these really quick. So we have one at Hillfield Road, crossing there. We have one on Gordon Avenue in Layton, one in West Bountiful on Pages Lane, and in Salt Lake City at 1700 South, Vine Street in Murray, and 5900 South in Murray. So all those will help with the reliability of Front Runner and safety improvements, not only for vehicles, but pedestrians crossing in those areas. The Davis Salt Lake Community Connector has completed its environmental study and made a small alignment change from 400 west to 300 west from about Beck Street to North Temple front runner station. So we want to reflect this within our regional transportation plan so that the study can move forward, continue to pursue funding, and complete its record of decision and environmental process. We are looking to add a core bus route up Big Cottonwood Canyon. This would be a similar bus route that is up Little Cottonwood Canyon, or planned to be up Little Cottonwood Canyon, from the mouth all the way up to Brighton there, to the ski resort. And and I believe final project here of the level 2 is the first phase of the Point of the Mountain EA transit recommendation. So the Point of the Mountain transit environmental assessment has been going on. This is the first phase. They're looking to do a innovative mobility zone with dedicated shuttle at the Point of the Mountain development. And so we're wanting to put this in phase 1 of the regional transportation plan. All right, that is level 2 projects. Any questions? All right, everybody's camera's off, so I can't tell if you're sleeping or if you're there, but there's a few of you out there. I see a couple smiles. All right, level 3. Well, it's these are the bigger ones, the one more regional significant that require a full amendment. So let's go through these. You can see there are 12, but there are some that are packaged together, and those are on the I-15. So really just 6 slides here coming up. So second phase of the Point of the Mountain transit study. Hold on, Alexa, off. For some reason, my Alexa decides to tell me when deliveries are coming right now. Okay, Point of the Mountain transit, second phase. The Point of the Mountain EA recommends a light rail transit from the Draper Front Runner Station down into Utah County. This is a change from a bus rapid transit. So in our current plan, we have bus rapid transit in phase 1. We're now recommending light rail in phase 2. So a couple different changes. You can see alignment change, mode change, and phase change on this project. So want to make sure that's reflected in our travel demand model, our fiscal constraints, and everything related to the project. The Front Runner Station project at the Point of the Mountain development. This is tied to a project that also goes down into Utah County, some strategic double tracking of Front Runner. About half of the funding has been identified. The total cost is about $400 million for the full project. Our portion in the WFRC area is about $120 million for that Front Runner Station and the double tracking associated with that station there. And so hopefully they can find the rest of that funding and get that built here as that Point of the Mountain development kind of pops up out of the ground. North Farmington Station Stopper Terminal. This is a new project from Farmington, from the Farmington Station Area Plan. The Point project require future study, but could be a station stop terminal for a fixed guideway mobility hub or mobility zone for a project that connects to the Front Runner Station just to the south. So you can kind of see on the map to the southeast there. It will connect, and the next slide you'll see that connection. So we want to put both the mobility hub station stop and the fixed guideway transit line between those two in this plan. So both of those projects are noted there. And then I-15. So I-15 has recently completed their environmental impact statement, their EIS from Farmington to Salt Lake. It's recommended to have 5 general purpose lanes and a HOT high occupancy toll road lane part of that project. Our current plan shows 4 general purpose and 2 HOT. So we're looking to update that lane configuration. The I-15 project also created improvements to interchanges with multiple safety features for pedestrian and bicycle use. And so we want to make sure we're capturing that. And then it will be comprised into 3 segments. And so in the current RTP, it goes just from Farmington to the Salt Lake County border and then Salt Lake County border down. We want to note that the project will now go from Farmington to 2600 South in Bountiful, 2600 South to the Salt Lake County line, and then Davis County line down to 400 South in Salt Lake City. Capturing within the I-15 project, we're going to have those 3 projects, and they will include all of the other improvements associated with I-15 on the roadway. So in the current plan, we had 5 projects kind of standalone associated with this project, interchanges and a managed motorway. So we want to make sure that we want to remove those projects as standalone projects within the RTP at managed motorways on I-15, Parish Lane interchange, I-215 interchange. There were 2 projects in the current RTP, and Warm Springs Road interchange. Those will all still be in the plan and captured within those 3 segments of the I-15 project. Yeah, so there you go. That's I-15 project. And then like I made mention earlier, level 1 projects associated with that were the active transportation projects that we're making modifications to match up with the EIS as well. And then we have the final project here up in Box Elder County. This is an operational project from State Route 91 up to our northern border. It adds 2 miles of passing lanes in each direction to help with traffic efficiency and safety as it relates to some heavy truck traffic in that area. Currently, there are 2 lanes of freeway, and the trucks sometimes quite often get side by side and create some congestion issues and safety issues for the vehicles. So there are the level 3 projects. Any questions specifically about those projects? All righty. We are required for our amendment process, as I made mention before. We don't, we maintain the rigor of our planning process, and so we prepare a set of technical considerations similar to the considerations used in developing the 2023 Regional Transportation Plan, and they all tie directly back to the Wasatch Choice Vision goal. So I'm going to briefly cover these with you. There's going to be a lot of information on this slide, and I don't expect you to read through it all right now, but most of these projects are regional in scale. We broke the technical considerations by county. We didn't do a project by project technical consideration, but vehicle hours of travel by county have been analyzed. The projects presented in this amendment provide more and safer connectivity by increasing our active transportation networks, providing more connectivity across barriers like railroads and highways, and improve transit connectivity and improving our Wasatch Choice centers. For vehicle hours of travel and access to opportunity, we're showing these benefits in phase 1 of the RTP. The numbers show the comparison between our existing RTP and the amendment. And through these connections and increased capacity, we're increasing access to jobs and education in all 4 counties. And there's a slight increase in VHT in Davis and Salt Lake County. And then delay also increases in both counties as well. So there's a lot of information here, but just want to let you all know that, we didn't just take the projects and push them into the plan. We review the projects in great detail. We work quite closely with UDOT and UTA and the local communities to warrant the changes to the regional transportation plan. We've met with Federal Highways to talk about the financial plan. We're working on the air quality conformity now. So 2 more slides, I believe. One, asked to make a motion here. You can see the motion on the screen. And then Samantha, I'd like to just cover the next steps through the RTP, our plot process after, if we can have this motion made.
Great, let's go ahead and look for a motion with the verbiage that Jory's pulled up for us. Anyone who's willing.
Potentially even one of the communities that have a project on the list, Grant, Bluffdale, Taylorsville. I saw Mark on here earlier.
Can Murray do it?
Yeah, I would love you,
Okay.
Zach.
Okay. So I make a motion to recommend that the Regional Growth Committee review and approve the level 2 board modifications and review and release the level 3 full amendment projects and the air quality conformity determination to a 30-day public comment period for amendment number 1 to the 2023-2050 RTP.
Great, we've got a
I'll
motion
second that.
from Zach. And then
I'll
a
second
second.
that.
Great, I think that second was from Grant, is that correct? Okay,
Yes, thanks.
wonderful. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And how about opposed, if any? Okay, motion passes unanimously.
All right, next steps. Thank you all for bearing with us on that. There are quite a few projects that I had to update. So we're required to, as I showed you earlier, inform you guys all of the level 1 projects, inform RGC of level 1 projects, and we'll do that at our March 31st meeting. We're also going to ask RGC to make a recommendation approving the level 2 projects at that March 21st meeting. We'll open it up for public comment at that meeting. We're also going to ask RGC to, for that motion, release the level 3 projects for a 30-day public comment. So that public comment will happen following the March 21st meeting. I believe it's from March 22nd to about April 23rd. Oh yeah, there we go. It's on the slide. At that same time, we're going to go out, or we'll send out the project information to the county councils of governments, which are made up of mayors, county commissioners, and county council for the communities that have projects. So Box Elder, Davis, Salt Lake will all receive the list of projects for review. Then we're going to head back to, so you all won't see the projects again, but if you want to pay attention to the projects, we'll be going back out to the May 16th Regional Growth Committee for review of comments during that public comment period and a recommendation to our regional council. And then on May 23rd, WFRC review the comments and approval of the amendment. So that's the high level overview of this process. And so we should have everything buttoned up before we all head out on vacation for Memorial Day weekend.
Great, thank you so much, Jory. That was a tour de force to get through all of that. I appreciate you giving a comprehensive overview there, and I'm sure people can reach out to you if they do have questions about that process. All right, so let's go ahead and move over to Bert. Bert, I wonder if, just in the interest of time, you could maybe take 5 or so minutes to share with us some information about the 2024 region-wide future land use map.
Great. Let me know if you can't hear me, but
I can hear you, and I
assume
can
you
see your
can.
screen.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Cool. So I briefly mentioned at the December RGC TAC meeting, Plan TAC meeting, that WFRC is going to recompile what we call the generalized future land use layer, starting this winter into spring. And this is the key layer for us. It's an input to our regional land use model. And more or less, you know, we try and take everyone's general plan data and standardize it, generalize it, looking especially at land use types and also allowable dwelling units per acre, floor to area ratio where we have it, and just like, you know, land use types. We last updated this data in 2020. We just kind of did our own research online to start with, and then reached out and tried to connect with folks where we couldn't find it. It's time to do it again. And let me just talk a little bit about this. I mentioned our regional land use model, REM, the real estate market model. This is a key input. It's basically our capacity layer and allowable land use types as the model based in Urban Sim looks to cite future growth up and down the Wasatch Front. So general plans, the Wasatch Choice Centers are important. Other information that's not in the general plans, like development agreements that might be in place, local master plans that might not have filtered into the general plans. We want to try and collect all this so we can get the best results with our model. Other inputs, existing conditions like the housing stock that's on the ground up and down the Wasatch Front. We just released our housing unit inventory map in January. And that's an example of work we need to do anyway for our own model, but kind of built this public facing product out of it. And the Wasatch Choice Centers are also a way in which we assert future envisioned capacity above and beyond what's in the most current general plan. So all that kind of comes together. Urban Sim does its magic, and we get our household and job forecast at the traffic analysis zone layer for the travel model, and also at these sort of city area aggregations. We have been thinking about how best to do this, and while we were thinking about this, the folks down at Mountain Land Association of Governments, MAG, released an update of their layer for their 3 counties, Utah Summit and Wasatch, and it's really good. And we were like, you know, they basically followed our template from 2020. We should just stick with it. So we're going to be reaching out, and I have a quick survey. I'll drop a link in the chat if I can find it. Where did it go? There it is. I'm hoping that we can get everybody on the meeting, and then anyone who's missing to fill out the survey. It's just a little information about the best person to contact for your community, and then the best way for us to start working to update the generalized future land use layer for your community. Do you want to work off of existing data that you have online? You want to schedule an in-person or a virtual meeting to get started, and then a little inventory of kind of what you've got and what data formats. And that's about it. We do ask one question about centers, and if you have any thoughts on changes that you might want to make to the Wasatch Choice Centers, this is a good way to give us a heads up about that. This is in no way binding. This is just kind of a pre-process information collection, so we know how best to coordinate with your city in trying to update this generalized future land use layer, and then also, I guess, the Wasatch Choice Centers if you have anything that you need to get changed in that layer. So the link should be in the chat, and you know, you can do it. We'll keep it open for the next week or two, remind folks. But it'd be great if you could just take 3 or 4 minutes and give us sort of a heads up for how you want us to work with you.
Great. Thank you so much, Bert. And I think we can probably link it in the follow-up email as well for anyone who maybe wasn't able to join today. Before we kind of move on to our final items here, does anybody have any questions for Bert? Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. We did a little bit of agenda shuffling, but let's go ahead and talk about a legislative update. We have Miranda Jones-Cox here with us, I believe. And Miranda, I hate to abridge such an important topic, but if you would maybe give us sort of a distilled update about what we need to know from the end of the session here, that would be great.
Definitely. Yeah. And my apologies for not being on earlier. Yeah, I'll make this quick because I know I'm the last thing probably keeping you guys from your next meeting or whatever comes next in your day. But I'll forego using my slides and just try and be brief here. But we have about 10 days left of the 2024 legislative session. So the rest of this week and then the next week, and the legislature adjourns on Friday at midnight as they conclude their work. And it's been interesting watching the session go along and kind of what the legislature is prioritizing and ultimately where they're putting their time and their efforts. But want to just mention a few quick things. And I'll have some more comprehensive like materials after the session is complete, where you can really dig into what really happened, what major bills passed, what was funded and appropriated. And we'll be sure to share all of that out, of course, after the session is over. But a few quick things. The legislature will start to finalize their appropriations process at the end of this week, beginning of next week. So we're likely to see funding lists for specific appropriations and specific projects out this Friday, maybe at the beginning of next week. And so definitely something that you'll want to keep an eye on for your communities, for if there are any specific appropriations. I will note on our end, a few things that we've already seen appropriations wise. A significant amount of one-time funding going into transportation. So the legislature has already appropriated over $1 billion into the Transportation Investment Fund, or the TIF. So this could help pay off debt service. This could also allow for additional capacity in UDOT's programming. So that's notable and exciting, and something that's already been done. And we're now watching a few other things. Additional funding to the Transit Transportation Investment Fund. One item WFRC has been working on is with other partners is funding for a transportation study at the Power District. And that's an appropriations request that is in right now that may or may not get funded this week or the next. So we're keeping an eye on that. And then additionally, a housing and infrastructure capacity analysis. So we're keeping an eye on that. So those funding bills will be funded next week. And then really I think there's over 800 bills now that are out there. So a lot. And there are some that are still even trickling out, and we're still just getting a handle on exactly what they're doing. And so notably, I'm not going to touch on all the different housing bills, partly because the League of Cities and Towns has already put out a lot of good information on that. Hopefully you're all tuned in there. And other partners have also provided good information. Wolf Summercorn has put out some good stuff there as well. But as far as a few transportation bills that we're watching, keeping an eye on, or working on, SB 208 Housing and Transit Reinvestment Zone amendments. This is Senator Harper's HTRZ bill. Makes some changes to HTRZ requirements and the affordability requirements that the HTRZ provides. HB 449 Pedestrian Safety and Facilities Act amendments. This one's a cool bill. It expands the definition of pedestrian facilities to include bicycle facilities for UDOT planning, for local planning, and something that we're supportive of. There's a concurrent resolution out there that we have been primarily putting our support behind with the sponsor it's called Concurrent HCR 11. It recognizes the importance of cross-issue growth impacts. Basically is the Wasatch Choice vision kind of rolled up into a bill, I would say. It encourages local government, state government, community partners, private sector to all coordinate together and to coordinate multiple issue areas. So when you're looking at transportation, you should also be considering impacts on housing, on economic development, on water, on air quality. And so that one is moving through the process just fine, and we're excited to see that one move forward. So last few things, there are a few other bills that are coming out. There's one a housing bill recently released yesterday called First Home Investment Zone Act. Keeping an eye on that one for sure, and working with the sponsor on that bill. So sorry, I'm a little disjointed here, and I want to be careful with everyone's time, but there's so much going on right now. I'd say kind of high level, the focus is on housing. We're likely to see a lot of really great transportation bills and hopefully some additional transportation appropriations coming out over the next few days at the end of the session. And ultimately we're feeling like it's a pretty good session that that our cities and our counties and our local partners have in a way maintained their authority when that's something that's been maybe under attack the last several years from the legislature in some ways. And so ultimately we're feeling really good, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Anyone is always welcome to shoot me an email or give me a call if there's specific bills or appropriations that you have questions on, and I'll link a few resources in the chat here before we wrap. So thanks so much, Samantha.
Thanks, Miranda. Thanks for being flexible with the timing. Appreciate your careful eye toward these bills, and we look forward to hearing more from you at the end of the session. And the kind of the other business section of our meeting, I'm gonna have Hugh share with us an update on the Beehive bikeways, and then we'll just do a few final housekeeping things and wrap up.
Thanks, Samantha, for letting me squeeze this in. And everybody, just wanted to remind folks, if you're not aware of Beehive bikeways, we talked about in our last workshops, and they have a relationship to the Utah Trail Network. The Utah Trail Network has come out with their ranked list of initial projects they're considering for programming. That ranked list can be found in the chat, which I just put in there underneath Miranda's post. And so if you're interested in that, take a look. If there's a project in your community on there, UDOT should be reaching out, if they haven't already, to talk to you about that project and its potential for funding from the Transportation Commission over the coming months. And as a reminder, the Utah Trail Network, UDOT owned and operated family-friendly bikeways, but they can't build everything everywhere. And so we worked in our workshops with you all to think about the Beehive bikeways, right? Those complementary set of family-friendly bikeways that will connect Wasatch Choice centers and everyday destinations. And we had so much feedback in those workshops. It was awesome that we've tried to filter it and get to a product that we can go over with you and see if we got it right, see if we heard it right. So please stay tuned as we reach out to you also in the coming months to say, this is all the information we got. We tried to distill it. Did we get it right? How can we continue to refine it and work with you all on this Beehive Bikeways vision that's going to work really, really well with the Utah Trail Network to make sure folks can get around in a number of ways across our region in accordance with the Wasatch Choice vision. So thanks, Samantha. Reach out to me if anybody has some questions about that.
Thanks so much, Hugh. There's so many exciting initiatives going on. I appreciate you keeping us up to date and kind of reminding us of that. Just in the last minute here, I want to again thank everybody for filling out the topic survey that we sent out. We had great responses to that, and I think it will help make sure that our agendas continue to be representative of the issues that are most relevant to our work. So appreciate that. The results of that survey were put into kind of like a one sheet, and those were linked in the email Jordan sent out if anyone wants to look at those. And I think we could link it again in the follow-up email for those who haven't had a chance to see it. Did want to also mention that we're planning to set up kind of an ongoing comment card form so that as you have ongoing feedback about PlanTAC, you can provide that to us, whether it's wanting to do a community update, community highlight about your community, or suggesting topic ideas. I think we can send out the link to that comment card as well. So we will go ahead and kind of wrap up here. Our next meeting will be April 17th, 2024. That will be a virtual only meeting. I believe we'll be hearing from Draper for a community highlight, but we'll confirm that. And do we need a motion to adjourn? I'm seeing like a head shake. Okay, cool. Then let's go ahead and adjourn, get everyone on with their days. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you in April.
Thanks, everybody.